Hello and welcome to SmallCap Spotlight. I'm Veena Kabasi. For the last couple of years, we've seen that small and mid-cap companies have wanted to tap into the primary markets and list themselves. In fact, you find the interviews of the managers of some of these companies right here on YouTube channel. But today, we'll be interacting with the entities behind the successful listing of these companies, the investment bankers and the merchant bankers. And we are going to be interacting with a company that is 100 years old and has a record of having its companies list with positive gains every single time on listing day. I have with me Sunil Shah, Group CEO and Director of Khambatta Securities. Mr. Shah, thank you so much for giving us your time today. My first question is that, like I said, a lot of companies have wanted to hit the primary markets, list themselves. You have so many years of experience interacting with companies, interacting with these SMEs. What do you think is the reason behind this?
First of all, ma'am, thank you very much for having me on this show. Great pleasure. And yes, to answer your question is that, you see, when an entrepreneur, he starts a business. It could be a bootstrap or, he borrows money from their relatives and family money, and he starts a business. And generally we see a businessman has fire in his belly, he's passionate about his business, so he does well, and he keeps growing. But there comes a time that he needs more capital. So he borrows somebody more, and then again he grows. But then comes a time where growth capital is much needed, and this growth capital cannot be borrowed anymore because the balance sheets were out of shape. So there are few options to the entrepreneur. He can go to, these days, we have VCs and private equity players. An entrepreneur can go to them, but those funding comes with strings attached. And these entrepreneurs are very touchy and very passionate about their business. So they don't want any interference. They don't want people to, take concurrence from others and, to do anything. And because he thinks he knows his business the best, and he knows how to grow this business. So the only option is coming to the capital markets. Now, previously, when there were no SME platforms available, most of the people could not make it to the capital market unless they achieved that critical mass or the size. Now what has happened, that with this fabulous idea of both the primary exchanges of the country, namely National Stock Exchange and Bombay Exchange, they come out with this SME platform to facilitate these kind of need of entrepreneur. So that is one thing that they are. Second thing, not only this enable the entrepreneur to grow, but in the process, he creates wealth for himself and the company. Previously, he would create wealth only for himself and the company. Now, see, after coming to the public, he's creating wealth for himself and he continues to do that. Then he creates wealth for the investors. Then because in the growing, he creates wealth for the every stakeholder. A overall society in the nation is benefited. And so people and in general, entrepreneurs in general have understood the importance of coming to equity market, capital markets, raising funds, and be governed by the laws of and compliance of the capital markets, which is, of course, again beneficiary to the promoters of the companies. I think these are the few things which is why we're seeing this clamor to come to the capital market.
And I think the one thing that you mentioned, that now even investors have understood the importance of making money via the capital markets, and they have the capital as well to put into these companies.
Very true. I think if you, mind the data, say 20, 30 years back, the equity curve was restricted to few communities and few cities. Now things have changed. what is happening is people have understood the importance of financial product in financial assets of financial. So in the sense, previously we would have real estate and gold. They're still, financial product would be restricted to bank deposits. Last 20 years, we've seen a huge change. The new generation's nation, they understand that if they want to create wealth, beat inflation, and beat the lifestyle inflation, they need to invest in equity. And that is the reason that equity is taking off. The number suggests having, that post during the COVID, how many new demat accounts were opened, how many new mutual fund folios were created. And if you see the SIP numbers, every year every month it is getting new high. So yes, we are on that growth trajectory. But still we are still, at a very nascent stage, I would say, compared to the global standards and developed nations and developed markets.
And compared to our own population as well, right?
Yes, if I'm correct, I'll throw some numbers, and I think that I'm quite close to accuracy. We have some 4 or 5 crore mutual fund investors and around 12 crore developers. Now, out of 140, 50 crores, there is a way forward. A way to go. I think one of those app which game apps or something. I'm the one subscriber, then mutual fund investor. So way more, I'm certainly very, very positive and optimistic that this is going to take off.
But I want to bring the focus back now to SME companies. There's a very interesting statistic I read about Khambatta Securities on a website that all of the companies that you worked with have seen positive gains on listing day. Could you share the secret sauce behind this?
Well, कहते हैं ना कि हम कैसे अपने मुंह से मियां मिट्ठू बने. But since you have asked this question, let me clarify that we are very, very careful when it comes to selecting a company for IPO. There are 3 key factors which we pay attention to that. There are many, but 3 key, I would say, give us the paucity of time. One is the nature of business. The business should be such that it has a huge potential to go forward. The second is management. When the management is totally interested in the business, they want to grow, they have this passion for this business. So that's second. And the third most important here is valuation. The right valuation. Not only for the management, but also for the investors. The first step, IPO investors. And that's the reason we are always been giving something on the table for the investor. So, by the grace of God, this 100% listing at a premium, what is known as listing gains, been successful, I think.
Now, you obviously worked with a lot of companies, especially SME companies. In your experience, what are the challenges that these SMEs face when they want to list themselves? Naturally, as unlisted players, the house may not necessarily be very much in order because these entrepreneurs are busy still growing their business. But if you have to start taking money from the public, then there are certain systems and processes that have to be in place. So what are the challenges that these SMEs encounter and face when they have to list themselves?
There's a spreader phrase. Before going for the wedding ceremony, the bride used to be decked up. So here it's like this, that the small, it's not that they are not aware of so many things. So first we have to work hard to make them ready for the IPOs. So the challenge is whatever you have mentioned is before we make them ready for IPO, like, do this correctly, streamline this, do that. And it is not that inadvertently they must have done something, like which is not in line with when we want to come with IPO. So basically, making them IPO ready is a little time consuming and a little challenge. Once they are ready, the infrastructure is so good that they are ready and we 5 years, then everything is jelly very soon. So the thing is, before they are ready, IPO, there's a lot of work going behind it.
Have you ever felt that a company has listed itself too early, or if there are any telltale signs that this company, should not tap the markets because they are not prepared, operationally, financially, or in any other way?
Of course, we don't take that. We tell them. We tell them that, look, this is not the right time. If you're not still ready for this, if you kind of, just for the sake of, listing, maybe you will get listed. We will not do this. You will get listed. But post-listing, what will happen? And then once, your brand is tarnished, I'm using a strong word, but, once it is tarnished, then it's very difficult to attract investors back, and especially after listing in the secondary market. So we tell them, we guide them. We tell them that, look, you need to do few things, put it together, and we are not yet ready. The numbers are not all that good. This is not attractive proposition. That is all we get. So yes, there are cases. I mean, as you know, that there is a camera, and we do get many proposals, and then we are very careful, as I told you earlier, in selecting the right candidate.
Okay, let's talk about now what happens after the listing, because in your words, as you said, you've prepped the bride, but now post-listing, there are obviously a lot of compliances, etc., that these companies now have to adhere to. Do you think that companies find it challenging, or do you think they're able to cope?
Most of them have done well. They're still commodity premium. They've created wealth. Because technically, I feel, is merchant bankers rule ends one we come in their system. They it's in the hands of investors, secondary market, and it was only one thing: numbers. You give better numbers, you keep attracting new investors. Your company prices, meaning valuations, will keep going up, and the company's market cap will keep going. So post-listing, but we take care. I mean, we are always there. That sometimes what happens with that now, there were some issues for big companies and things like that. So because they got listed, they were achieved what they were to do with this, IPO funds. And after achieving that kind of growth, to expand further and go from the next year, from here to the next year one, they need again some capital. So that time we are always.
Have you seen a change in the morale, in the management of the employees post-listings?
I tell you something, most of, or rather I can say all of our promoters, they are still hungry for the business. And it's not like that, okay, I got my money, bye-bye, I don't care what happens to my share. No, I think that mindset is changing overall. I mean, if you see in the market, we've seen that things are changing. People have understood. It's no longer what used to happen 30 years, like where, only certain promoters were like, even premium or, higher price to earning because of their integrity and their corporate governance and other things. Now, I think the corporate governance issue is understood and accepted by almost all the companies which are listed and which are coming now for listing.
I think that's very good news for reactors.
We are evolved and we are evolving continuously. And I think we've got very brilliant other agency and regulatory framework which takes care of. We are improving compliance so either everything. And look at how much transparency. A company wants to make some analysis, they have to announce that. But today, I honestly feel rather I envy current younger generation investors They've got all the data to the click of mouse, which was not there in 1980s or 1990s or things like that. Things have improved a lot, and the credit goes to the entire infrastructure. I mean, the agency, SEBI, and the exchanges, and the ministry, the finance ministry, and the corporate ministry, and all those things.
But you're also a part of the ecosystem.
Well, as I said, yes, it's the entire infrastructure.
Yeah. What is the role, or what is the role you take on as a merchant banker or an investment banker in trying to make an IPO a successful one?
We have this checklist kind of thing. We select we are business agnostic. When we see then the good business, which has huge potential going forward, within 10 years, today, and then listing the market cap is so much, it can go here, the profit is today X, it can go 5X, 7X, something like that. Then there are other things like, corporate governance, how they are, and things. So we have our internal processes and system. We adhere to that. And once every box is ticked, then only we accept and take that promoter for the IPO option.
Now, you mentioned that there is this SME platform, a wonderful one for companies and for investors as well. So far, we used to see investors mostly investing in your brands like Tata's, Birla, blue chips. So, why do you think now that investors are moving to SME as well, or looking at SME as an option? Because all subscription numbers over there are through the roof. So, what do you think is the reason?
First of all, I'll tell you, SME exchanges are for the informed investor as per the guidelines. So, an informed investor's definition, everybody knows, I do it. So, that is one thing. Second thing, I feel that, you see what is happening. A company which is a huge base, like 1 lakh crore market cap, it will produce returns which should be, in the early teens or something like that. That's what we have seen. And I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
But those with a narrow base market cap and the growth could be huge. To be affiliate teams or something. Obviously, people have understood those things and they have started investing in that. And mostly I tend to those subscription number is because of the listing gains. People are attracted towards listing gain. There are lots of investors as well, but listing gain is one of the key.
Now my last question, or rather my second last question, because I have something reserved as a question to ask you. What do you think goes behind moving a company from the SME exchange to the main board?
Well, there are several criteria that so many years of listing, profit, market cap, and things like that. I mean, my team would know more about it because they do day in, day out. But there are set criteria for that. So it's not like ad hoc somebody moves from SME to main board. There are strict criteria set by the exchanges in accordance to SEBI guidelines.
All right. Well, my last question, not many people know, but Mr. Shah is also an ardent fan of classical music. In fact, I think he dabbles a bit in classical singing as well. So he does not just manage money for companies or raise money rather for companies. He also perhaps entertains them well with his little performances. So I'd request you as well to put up a performance for our viewers.
I can say one thing about myself, about the notion of Indian cinema songs from the 50s and 60s. So that's because I feel, if I take your time, I feel that, it's a confluence of three things. Deep philosophy, lyrics, super vocal chord, meaning the singers, and the composition and orchestration. Confluence of these three things, because we are people of East. Philosophy is the ultimate. And when you listen to these songs and when you know the nuances, you feel that it's all about life. So that's why I love that. And it was supposed to be golden era, that's what they say, of 50s and 60s. So yeah, I love those songs, and sometimes I recite them. And they are, let me think, which song is befitting the occasion, that I will say, like there was this song, के तेजी किया जाए कि बंदी किया जाए, बोल तेरे ट्रिक का क्या किया.
All right, Mr. Shah, it was lovely speaking with you. Thank you so much for the performance and for, of course, all of your insights.